Welcome home, neighbors.
Welcome home, neighbors.
Hello, neighbors.
We're listening from
Arizona,
Florida,
Maryland, New York, New Jersey,
Minneapolis,
California, Utah,
Michigan,
Iowa,
Massachusetts,
Georgia, Canada,
our home resort is
Animal Kingdom,
Polynesian,
Lake Tahoe,
Old Key West,
Riviera,
Boardwalk,
Alani Resort,
Boulder Ridge, Copper Creek,
Grand Floridian,
Saratoga Springs,
Beach Club,
and Wilderness Lodge.
and you're listening to
and you're listening
You're listening
to
my Welcome home, neighbors, to episode 146 of Community Hall Live. My name is Chad Pennycuff. I am your host. And tonight's show is brought to you by our friends over at DVCResaleMarket.com. If you are in the market to buy or sell a contract, please consider our sponsors over at DVC Resale Market. They are the world leader in DVC resales. Every single one of their guides is a former Disney Direct guide. And what that means is you get that Disney level of experience without having to pay the Disney price tag. Another member has decided that it's time to transition their magical contract over to another family, whether it be they've outgrown it, death, divorce, disability, or they're just needing cash for another aspect of life. It happens. And that's where DVC Resale Market comes in, because you can save 40 to 60% off of Disney prices by buying another member's contract on the resale market. We'll talk a little bit more about that later tonight in today's show, as we are reviewing Moonlight Magic 2024 at Disney's California Adventure. And so let me start the show by welcoming our, longtime friend of the family, works for our sponsors, all around great guy, one of the most successful DVC agents that I've ever known in my entire life. And that would be Andy Berry from DVC Resale Market. So
hello,
welcome, Andy.
Home, friends of the community.
Hey, welcome. And then also we're coming in as we've got our producer, Gina, will be joining us today.
Hi.
And she's normally backstage, but because she went to this event, helped plan this event, we're going to bring her on stage for a change.
And work 10 minutes away. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're 10 minutes away. So good deal. Well, let's start the conversation off tonight with the basic question here is, what is Moonlight Magic and what's the event value from this? So, Andy, go ahead.
A Moonlight Magic event is an event that's held roughly, maybe 6 or 7 times a year, mostly on the East Coast at Disney World, at both the theme parks and also in the water parks over the summer months. And then they have one event out here in Disneyland. It is a direct member benefit, but that doesn't exclude any of our resale members. There's plenty of tickets to go around, and we could talk a little bit about that later. But I view these as fantastic events to see people you haven't seen for a while, or hook up and meet with people. And it's just, to me, I have enjoyed these for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And going to spend time with member families I've helped over the years. And Chad, as I mentioned to you earlier, that's over 16,000 families I've helped over the last
That's awesome.
13 years. And it's just fun to see people. It's like catching up with old times. And we may have not seen each other for a couple of years, but it's like we skip a beat and all of a sudden we're talking about the same stuff. But it's a lot of fun, a lot of value at the event. I mean, we could talk about a day ticket at the park is somewhere between $90 and $150. They throw in parking for another $35, and also the free food, $30 of coupons there, and unlimited Mickey bars and Mickey ice cream sandwiches.
I'm in. So Andy, I got to back up the bus here and go, let's.
Yeah, I went a little faster.
That's okay.
You let Pandora's box out. Like it's that, that statement of just because you're resale doesn't mean that you're excluded. And let's caveat that and tell people why. And that's because here at My DVC Points, and we're founded on the principle that DVC members are the best people to learn this product from. But we're also founded on this principle that we're a community of members. And because we're a community of members, like our Patreons get together and we host a Patreon booking party for these. And our rule is we're in Ohana, nobody gets left behind. So what we do is we come back in and help each other get into the event. In our Patreon event, we get the max amount of tickets. And then if we know somebody who's resale only that wants to come, we'll try to get them in on one of our direct member tickets through. It's just the community networking aspect of it.
And thanks for clarifying that, Chad. It is a direct benefit, but we don't want to figure out. We want to figure out ways to have as many members participate as possible.
Yeah, and that happens through this awesome community that we're building and the networking and all of that that's coming on. If you caught our pre-show countdown, we have a lot of people that are now kind of planning our vacations together because we've become really good family, and we welcome everybody to come in and join us, make friends, travel with us on your family vacations, come down for a solo community meetup. We see all of it and we do all of it as well. So those are some really, really, really great times with that as well. So now that we've that like elephant cleared up, I could see like us getting lit up with comments on that one.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No, because I'm going to talk about some of the value from my coworker who's not a member. She lives near me. She works with me. And I said, hey, I have a ticket. Do you want to go? And she said, oh, free parking, free food, free entry into Disney. It usually costs me to go in. She's not a Magic Key holder. So we went and she said that was the best event I've ever been to. She loved it. And we went on zero. We did nothing rides worth. We ate, we talked, we had free ice cream. So that was the best event. Anyway.
Yeah.
And the good thing this year is the weather was really, really cooperative. I mean, I wore shorts and just had a long sleeve shirt on. Years in the past, I've worn jackets and hats and gloves, and it's almost like a night of trick-or-treating back on the Midwest, but it was wonderfully warm.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome events. And you figure those hard ticketed events at night are probably worth $150, $170. And that's not getting free food. Or parking. So you throw all that on and it's over $200 a person is what I'm estimating the value at for this. And as a member, you can get 5 tickets minimum. You just have to put, well, for Disneyland, you could just put in 5, right? If you're booking here in Orlando and you're booking at the member window for people staying on site, you can get as many tickets as you have people on your reservation. So if you have a 2-bedroom with 9 people in it, you can get 9 tickets.
That's great. That's good for Florida, especially if you're doing if you have 9 people in your room, then everyone can go. And if they don't want to go, that's when you bring the non-members, which I think is great.
Yeah. And our pro tip here is if you've got a 2-bedroom, put friends and family down on your registration because it doesn't cost you anything, but that'll allow you to get more tickets. And then that's how we can start to share them throughout the community. We can bring our non-DVC friends. We can bring our non-Disney friends who really don't get this and go, hey, look at what's going on here. And the other big event value that I have to point out every time we talk about Moonlight Magic is I live in Orlando and they will do whatever they can do to drag you into a timeshare. They'll give you discounted park tickets. They'll give you a free steak dinner. They'll spend all of this money to drag you into a presentation, right? In hopes that you join their program. DVC flips the script on that. And what we do is we say, okay, we're not giving away all this stuff for our marketing dollars to get you to sit down and us fast talk you into something. Once you've thought through everything and you're comfortable with your purchase and you've joined and you've become a direct member, now we're giving you the theme park time through this Moonlight Magic, right? And so because it's a huge marketing event for them, from all the social media buzz, all of us posting, all of us inviting our non-Disney family, all of us inviting all of those people who look at us and go, you bought a timeshare? Have you lost your everlasting mind? Well, come on in and let me show you. Okay. You invite those people and that changes their tune. And that's why Disney spends over $500,000 on each of these events to rent out the park and give all this away, because it's a phenomenal marketing event to get all of your member buzz going and all of that going. So that's what is going on here. And it for us as members, it's like, hey, this is really a good thing. And Disney is showing us they appreciate us, they love us, and they want us to enjoy our membership and create great value for us and tell everybody else about it. And that's what I think is going on with that. Do you guys have any other comments on like what it is or event value, or are we ready to move on?
Similar to Gina, we brought a couple friends with us who are also annual pass holders, but they said that the treatment of the Moonlight Magic event was just phenomenal. And one thing that I haven't heard mentioned is during these events, you'll typically have character appearances from characters who you would typically not see in the parks at all.
Oh yeah,
And that's just
they're
another one of
exceptionally
the
rare.
special member benefits.
Yeah.
They also have unique membership apparel too for sale.
I never buy anything. I'm always trying to get all my tickets for food. That's what I spend my time on. But it's true. They have the best, and Disneyland does have the best characters interactions anyway. So
yeah, while we're here, let me share this as well. Let me go. And this is a video rule. I was able to invite some really good friends of mine from Richard and Sarah from Skywalking Through Neverland. And they do a podcast that's all about Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, fandom, Pixar, you name it. And they are the top of the fan list. It's super enthusiastic, super positive. They are phenomenal content creators. They get invited to all the red carpet events. And so let me come back in and try to share this with you and see if I can make this a little bit bigger. But this was their Instagram reel of rare characters at Moonlight Magic.
Oh, that's so cool. Yay.
Yeah, little Chippendale Rescue Rangers going on. So
That's great.
Pluto,
Yeah,
Goofy.
cute. This is the normal Disney DCA crew. But they do a lot more. They do a lot more interaction. Oh, the hippo.
Yep, you get the hippo
And the ostrich.
Yep,
The ostrich.
from
Fantasia.
Fantasia.
It's great.
We got to see
The
Mickey
boss.
in a special
And the
costume.
missus. Baloo.
But no, Louis
Oh,
and Baloo.
yep.
And Baloo.
There's Baloo.
Both. They're all from the Saturday or the whatever that I can't think of it. The Disney afternoon. Oh, the Atlantis people. Wow.
The Atlantis people, and then who was that? That was it was a Disney flight one.
Mm-hmm. These are all the Disney afternoon cartoon characters. They're great. There's Buzz.
And that was the smallest Buzz ever, by the way.
Yep.
And the chef from Little Mermaid.
Oh, it's
So-
so good.
Jesse.
Yeah, that was great.
Wow.
That was great.
It was
Very
just
fun.
neat, and there were literally no lines to see the characters. As we were leaving, we saw Pluto and Goofy together, and we spent, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes with them. And it was they're very interactive. So I think that the cast members and the characters know the value of the DVC members,
Yes.
and that's
Yeah.
why a little bit of
Well,
a
I think
gold-
character interactions in general are superior at Disneyland. Let's
Even
just
in
be
the
honest.
DVC lounge, I got to see my BFF, Darth Vader, again on Saturday. He's my Saturday Vader. So he always visits with me. So saw him again.
Yeah,
That's in
but
the
I
DVC
mean,
lounge.
I think characters are just better in Disneyland altogether. I don't know why. I don't know if it's so many aspiring actors from Hollywood that they can get to play characters, and it's just a better pool of talent. But it just seems like the characters are better there. But I will defend our cast members here for magical feeling and being awesome in Orlando.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
I
I'm
think
going to
just-
call that
yeah.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. I just think that because we're a smaller community, like Saturday Vader, he always works Saturday. So that's why he knows me, because every Saturday I go and see you. So that's the difference, is that more locals go. So they just have that.
And
more
I
intimate.
agree with that. The cast members are, they come from families who their mom and dad used to work there, and their aunt and uncle used to work there, and maybe their grandparents used to work there. So there's a lineage of Disneyland in people's backgrounds.
Yeah, it's kind of in their DNA at that point in time.
And you just work on Saturdays, and that's your post, and you know the people that are there on Saturdays. So that's but that's fun. Anyway, yay.
So anyways, rare characters, and then supposedly shorter lines for rides. But as an annual pass holder, the last thing I want to do is mess around with rides that I can do any point in time. So I'm like, I think Gina, you left and some of the other locals left at around 9:30. And at that point in time, Richard, Sarah, and Mark and I went around and just toured the park creating that character reel.
Fun. That's very fun. Yeah.
We literally just walked the entire park seeking out the rare characters because they weren't on a map. They were not mapped saying, hey, come here for a character greet. They were true Disneyland out in the wild fashion.
That's Disneyland.
Yeah.
great.
And so that was incredibly awesome. And I'll tell you, because I was hanging out with AP holders and regulars, and I wasn't in this, I got to get the rides in. I got to get the rides in. I
Yep.
was in I'm here to take in the magic. It was the absolute best event that I can imagine, and the best time at Disney. I can't even think when it was something that awesome. It was
Yeah.
just hanging out with your friends. It took us 3 hours to burn off all of our coupons because we kept trying this, trying that, walking all over. I want to go here. I want to go there. But we each had $30 of food vouchers to spend. And that's something that you get in Disneyland, not in Disney World.
Oh.
In Disney World, you get 3 snack credits, which could be a
Oh.
drink. It could be something that's got the snack credit menu going on. In Disneyland, it's a coupon for $10 of food.
Anything you want. And
Yeah,
people were spending it at Lamplight. People are spending it. It just depended on your server. People were spending it at the Golden Vine Trattoria. It just depended on.
Yeah, there was a little bit of variance in there. Now, the fine print did say you weren't supposed to stack this with an AP discount. And I had some people who would and some people who wouldn't. That's
Didn't
okay.
for me. Yeah, it's okay.
And then new this year, and I was really shocked about it and disappointed at the same time, you couldn't apply your food vouchers towards the cost of a popcorn bucket because they were sold at food carts, but they were like, no. This is kind of merchandise, even though it codes as food. So we're not going to let you do it. And this is the first time we ever didn't get to do that.
Yeah, they
And-
changed it.
But I get Disney's point in it. I just wish they would have told us that in advance.
Yeah.
So, because you never can tell, is the cast member just doing it wrong, or, has the rules changed? And it would be nice to just tell us the rules have changed, because cast members, especially at Disneyland, I don't know. I don't think they're as well trained as they are here in Orlando.
They're not. They're kids. They're mostly kids. So it's different.
So anyways, that's what we've got going on there. Let's go circle back. We started to touch on this earlier, but let's give off some of our registration tips. And I'll start this off and let you guys chime in. But my first thing is fill out the registration with every friend and family member you have on your DVC stay so that you can get that amount of tickets come registration day.
For Disney World, be clear, for Disney World.
For Disney World. So now in Disneyland, if you have a 2-bedroom book, they won't let you, with 9 people, they won't let you get 9 tickets.
Oh, I don't know. There's only how many 2 bedrooms are there? There's only like 3 2-bedrooms. I don't know.
Yeah. In inventory at this point, plus the 21 over at Grand Cal, right?
Yeah.
But that's normally the rule is
Okay.
it's however many people are on there. And then Disneyland will let you get 5. I think World will let you get 5 as well.
Okay.
As a floor for registration tips.
And then if you are staying at Disney World, you have a room booked, you get priority registration, correct?
Correct. There's a registration window that opens if you're staying on site, on property.
On
and
points.
It's on points. And I think they changed it this year so that the people staying in cash rooms don't count.
Right.
And it's because
On
the
points.
events are so popular and so crowded. It was a way of getting the numbers down, which, okay, I think you're being fair. I'm not gonna cry over that one. I think that's really fair because you do want the people staying on points to get first crack at this as well.
My camera's going wonky. Yeah. So I agree with that also. And then for Disneyland, it's all the same day. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
if you're
there's
staying
no on property, off property, because there's just not enough rooms on points there to make a difference. So, and even then, the 2 hotels.
Both may remember or may not remember. I know some of the listeners have. Years and years ago, 15 years ago, you used to have to call in to register, and you'd have to wait in the queue. And sometimes you got dropped as you were waiting.
I believe it.
2 or 3 hours, and it took them a long time to come up with the new innovative system that they're using now for registration. And one thing we always lobbied for when I was a guide at Disneyland was if you're staying at one of the 3 hotels, either with cash or points, didn't matter. In my mind, didn't matter. You should be gifted a ticket to get in because those are the best guests that are there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't disagree with it. But that's a nice thing. But now we're using a system called Qit, and the best tip I can give you here is what we do for our Patreons. And we host a Zoom call and we have everybody open up as many possible tabs as they can. One in Chrome, one in Firefox, one in Safari. right? And everybody on the call opens as many tabs as they can before 11 a.m. because at 11 a.m., your tabs will get assigned a random number.
Mm.
And you could get low numbers, you could get high numbers. But because we're on a Zoom call and we're sharing this among people, then if I have 2 low tabs, the rule is I book myself first, and then the second tab goes to somebody with a high tab or somebody else that's on our little booking party Ohana.
Or someone who lives in California, it's 8 a.m. and school's starting and you can't get on the computer because you got 20 kids coming in the room. That happened for me this year. Thank you, Chad.
Yeah,
Join the Patreon.
And that's where I'm typing in Gina's, email and contract number and hitting submit.
Because I was teaching kids.
Yeah, because she was teaching kids. So that's the other part of this is when I tell you about DVC is a community and we're in Ohana, that's part of it as well. And by the way, that is like the only thing I do for Patreons other than like merch pickups if I'm here in Orlando or Walt Disney World or, for a certain level of Patreon people, I'll pick it up and take it on my way to work on my in-office days, drop it off at the post office and get it sent out. But that's really the only things that I do. It's because we want our Patreon program to be about giving, and we create 3 shows a week pretty regularly. So for us to create more shows just for Patreons, it's just not worth our time. We'd rather just give it all to the public and recruit people who will support us and give. So that's what we've got there. And speaking of our our first Patreon, Lauren is joining the show. So shout out to Lauren as Patreon number 1. But so that's kind of, our registration tips on that is open as many tabs as you can, attack this as a family with other people, and be willing to IM and text your friends, your email address and your member number so that they can type it in and get it in for you if they have a window that's open that's higher than yours. And that right there was golden and worth the price of admission right there. Because I can tell you, we have not had a Patreon booking event where anybody got left behind. And I've been doing this for 3 years now.
At least 3, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very successful method, and it's because we act as a community, and we want all of our friends to come back in and experience this wonderful event. And shout out to DVC for hosting it, because it is a glorious event, and it is something phenomenal they do for members that they do not have to do. And so if you start from that perspective, you can come into this and start to go, okay, hey, look, there's only so many people. DVC keeps adding new resorts and growing the amount of member families that are out there. So we have to scale it back and somehow. And I'm all for Disney doing that if that's what they need to do.
Yeah. My other tip is don't change your plans to come to this. I talked to a lot of members who were just happened to be at Disneyland and they ended up going to this event. Unless you live locally and you're a member, or like you live locally and you're a member, that's the time to register. If you are not planning a trip, don't take the extra effort to do this, because you'll be maybe let down a little bit, because you only get $30 of food credit. It's not for your whole trip. It's just for one night. And I was talking to a lot of members and they said, we wouldn't have done this we wouldn't have built a trip around doing this. So I want to point that out.
Now I will counterpoint that. When I lived in Detroit, I probably went to 4 or 5 of them a year. I would plan trips to come down. I would make trips. I would bring friends that did not have annual passes, and I would take advantage of that and saying, hey, we're going to hit Disney Springs in the day. But I'm doing it, and because you're booking 30, 60 days out in advance, I'm scoring those dirt cheap flights on Spirit for $60 round trip. We're finding a crib off site someplace, just a crash pad, and we're having a great time at Disney. And it's just a great little weekend trip and a great way to come back in and get some pixie dust in and bring some friends in that don't have annual passes. So I would tell you to plan a trip around here.
Really? Okay.
It's
the locals, not the locals, but the Washington people are like, no, we wouldn't do that. So I wanted to say that for them.
Yeah, I still would plan a trip. As a matter of fact, I planned a trip to go to California for this. So, but I realize I host a DVC podcast.
Yes.
It's partly research, partly content creation, partly everything else. But even aside from that, I'm going to be honest and tell you, I'd still do it. So, but this is the wonderful thing about our community. We have these conversations of opposing points of view. And that's perfectly fine, because you get to hear both sides and choose what's best for your family. So
So Andy, what do you think? Are you going to plan a trip around the Moonlight Magics?
No.
Me either.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. But if you do plan a trip
It's
to
one of those things
Orlando,
where if it happens to be at the time when you're
Yes.
there, then it's just a great little perk.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
but if you happen to plan the Orlando trip, look me up. I'm probably here. And if you happen to plan the California trip, look Gina up. She'll probably come hang with you there too. So yeah, that's our registration and planning tips on that. And so let's talk about another elephant in the room here, and park entry and best practices at the event. And so because I have an annual pass, I just made sure that everybody that I was bringing in also had an annual pass. And we were there at 5:00, rope dropping the wristband and coupon handout. And we had no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't want to say it because I don't want to do it, but if you go in through the Grand Cal entrance, we only waited 20 minutes like outside, and then we're straight in.
They used to not allow you to go in that way, but it is a secret. I mean, we went through the main gate, and I think we got there about 6:00, maybe by after 6, and I think we waited 40 minutes. But again, it was a chance to see people I hadn't seen for a while.
True.
So it was
It
a
worked
little bit
out.
of socializing going through the line too.
Yeah.
But Tim Krasniewski from DVC News was outside waiting, and he posted a picture, and at 6:00, the gates were flooded almost to Disneyland
Yeah.
with people lined up waiting to try to come back in. And to me, if I can get in through Grand Cal, if I can already be in the park because I've got an annual pass, and then I can check in that way, that was really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
People didn't have reservations. So it was perfect that we waited outside for 20 minutes, but yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
The other thing that changed this year as well was because of the lines and all the backup out there, they said as long as you have a ticket, you can come back in. And they started letting people in. You didn't have to get your whole group together to come in. So if you could disperse your tickets ahead of time and come in, that was, I think, a last minute audible.
That's got to be new.
Yeah, that they called this year. So no guarantees if they'll do it next year going forward, but that was one of the management solutions to the overcrowding outside and the big rush of people to get in right at 6:00. And so, yeah, that's a lesson learned, and it's just as nuts at Walt Disney World outside these events ahead of time. So if you can book this with annual pass holders, be inside the park, and rope drop the DVC kiosk that they're going to hand these out at, you'll do really, 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 really well.
And use your food. The other best practice is use those food vouchers first, because the lines just get longer and longer. And I learned that my first Moonlight Magic, we just by accident used them first and never had a problem. And now it's always use them first.
Yeah. Spend that first 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. burning off your coupons is the best thing you can possibly do before the lines get crazy. And after park close, not all of those food vendors are open for Moonlight Magic. So you're really going to limit your choices. And now you've got limited choices with everybody else who hasn't burned them yet. And it's just a best practice. Come in, burn your coupons. If you're going to Animal Kingdom, the longest line in the place is usually for the games that they had at like the Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama stuff, because a lot of us won't let our kids play that, but it's free.
Go.
So, okay, go. And then you look and the line's a mile long for it. So
true.
Yeah, it's reduced capacity on all of these. So the ride lines are usually better. I have found Disney tends to shut down capacity in some rides. So like Tower of Terror might not have all the elevators open, which creates more of a line, and it's a little bit of a head scratcher for me. But it is what it is there, okay? So if you burn your coupons beforehand, and then when the event starts, you've got your free Mickey bars for desserts, and then you can walk around and spend all the time during the characters of the rides or free Mickey bars or whatever it is that you want to end up doing. And
I come back and say it's a free event.
It's free.
So there's nothing that can go wrong when it's free.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really keeping an attitude of gratitude here, realizing that Disney's or DVC, the development side of DVC, not our due side, but the development side of DVC that's selling these points spent $500,000 to host this party, right? And I paid nothing, so I'm going to be grateful because no matter what, I'm getting more than my value out of it.
Exactly.
You know, I think the DVC product holds its own on a value equation. Without these are just like extra cool, nice things that
this
they
is
do.
just bonus. The other best practice for California only, not for Florida, for California only, you get your Mickey bar, you shove it in your pocket, you walk around for 20 minutes, and then it's perfect. So that's my Mickey bar advice.
Yeah,
you get it
in
from
California, all the ice
hard.
cream is cryogenically frozen like Walt's head. Like
so you put it in your pocket.
It's crazy.
But this year, notice this year, just a change is that they did not include soft drinks.
They did not.
You used to be able to get, Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, and other stuff.
And water.
And water.
And water.
This year you had to use a voucher for it.
Yeah.
Or pay for it, yeah.
Or paid. I paid cash, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I used 2 vouchers and got a Coke and a Diet Coke for myself and Sarah at the shawarma stand. And that was the other thing is I would never, ever, ever buy shawarma in Disneyland. Right? It's because I'm from Detroit. And
you can get it there at Lafayette, Coney Island.
Yeah, we're the highest concentration of Middle Easterners outside of the Middle East is in Detroit. Yeah. So our Middle Eastern food is like here, right?
Better than the Middle East sometimes.
Yeah, it's so I'm always going to be disappointed anytime I eat it and it's not in Detroit.
So this was free.
This was free, but it's still, if I would have paid cash for it, I'd have been disappointed.
Right.
But
it
because
was
it was free.
We had great food. We had wonderful entrees and foods and service.
Yeah. I got the noodles. I did the booths. I got the noodles and then I was full. And then I had to give somebody I said, I'll give you a voucher if I can have your macaron for later. So I did that. And then I had to I just had extra. So I was so full.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Cool. I mean, it's a great thing to do. Now, we did learn out there, they wouldn't let us use our vouchers on the food booth coupons.
Right.
Yeah, at Disneyland or DCA, when they have a food festival, you can buy like a punch card of so many appetizers or entrees or snack items kind of thing. And they wouldn't allow us to apply it towards that. So
right. You just had to pay for the food with your coupon, which is fine.
Yep.
And then just make sure you get the $9. Just make sure you get the $9 so you're only losing $1.
Yeah. and then add a drink or something like that. Yeah. And then we did see some variability in rule enforcement on that as well, where they would say, no, it's only for one item.
Yes.
And then they would say, oh, it's just $10 off your bill. So if you got, I was able to buy 2 sodas and then it came up to $10.53. And so I only had to pay 53 cents.
Yeah. Where with me, I had to buy my $9 item and then I had to pay for my water separate. That was okay.
Yeah. So there was some variability in the way they enforce the rules, and you kind of have to expect that as well. But yeah, so that is it. And I can tell you guys, I would plan the trip around it. Gina would not. Either way, we both agree it was a phenomenal event. And Andy, because he's been selling this for 13 years, he was a rare character there himself. He had a line of people waiting to take photos with him.
That's great.
But in fact, next year I might charge for pictures.
Yeah. Let us know how that works out, Andy.
You'll be negative money.
Maybe a longer line.
No, you'll be negative money. You'll be like, I had to pay these people to take a photo with me.
It was just great seeing so many people. And hey, maybe I can introduce this. I ran into a family that I've known for probably 11 or 12 years. And a couple of days before, they sent me a note and said, we would like to see you. We have something for you. And if I could share, this was the highlight of my day.
They got you a Toy Story pencil box.
Make him go big. Make him go solo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wait, Andy, show it again.
Oh,
show it again. Yeah. That's so cute.
Inside was an Andy pen.
Oh,
a Woody pen.
That's Woody. Yeah.
Yep.
And a little Toy Story bag.
So great. That's so nice.
And I show this because not that, I love receiving stuff like this. It's absolutely the highlight of my day, but it's the friendships that I've created over the last 13 years with over 16,000 member families is just something that I truly enjoy. And it's fun. Like I said, if I hadn't seen somebody for 5 years or 7 years or 10 years, it was like we skipped a beat and all of a sudden we were giving each other hugs and, oh my gosh, tell me about this. And the really fun part of these events, or anytime I go to the parks, is when I meet a family that I ran into a family that I saw that I helped them join when I was at Disneyland. When I met them and they joined, they were engaged. On this trip, obviously I saw them again. I've been kept in touch with them. They have a daughter that's probably 7 or 8 years old. They've been married for 10 years. And it's just cool to see the evolution of their family too. And I encourage this to any family that becomes a member, whether it's direct or resale, especially with kids or grandkids. Find a place in the park where you can take a picture and repeat that picture each and every time you visit the park, because it's a memory that you never, ever, ever can lose. And you'll always talk about that trip. And that's what I think is so cool about the DVC membership too.
Yeah, it absolutely is, Andy. We are in Ohana. This is a lifetime deal. And it's a way to lock in that we're going to Disney every year into the budget and prioritize those vacations and everything else that goes with it. You know, you're talking to some of the biggest fans in the community right here, because we're not only super fans, we're community organizers and leaders in the community here. So you don't have to sell us that, but you're absolutely positively nailed it right there. It's all about time.
And even Chad and I met some people in the DVC lounge, and it's just so great.
Yeah. We don't consider ourselves like influencers, and we're community organizers as well. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not I will say I'm a podcaster, but that's the audio version of it. But people don't recognize you from your podcast unless they hear you speaking. But we both got, listeners come up to us in the DVC lounge there and, hey, can I hang out, whatever. And because we've helped them on their journey as well. And that's what our content is designed to do. So let's check in. And I don't see any new comments here on Moonlight Magic questions or comments on that. So I'm ready to wrap this show up. I think Andy left us on a high note there. And I want to give a shout out to Andy here and let you see how to contact him if you'd like to follow up with him after the show.
There. And what's the easiest way to remember me, Chad?
Andy, like the bottom of Woody's boot.
There it is.
There
Andy.
it is. So
Toy Story Andy.
Yep. At dvcresalemarket.com, 949-412-0850. That is his cell phone as well. So you can call him, text him, however you want to get a hold of him.
And he'll answer even from Disneyland. I've been there with him and he answers even from Disneyland.
I got a comment from a family last night. It was probably 8:30 California time, so 11:30 on the East Coast. And from a new member, an add-on member, and they asked if I ever sleep. And I said, I sleep with one eye open and ready to fire.
So always take your calls, even from
always
Disney.
take your call.
Even from Disneyland.
So anyways, guys, that kind of wraps up our Moonlight Magic event. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Andy, for joining us. Thank you, Gina, for co-hosting and becoming on camera for this show, because you're normally doing all the button pushing behind the scenes for us and making it go smooth and graceful. But I guess I had to do that tonight as well.
Yeah, I pushed one button. Thanks. All right. That's all good.
Anyways, guys, thank you for
home,
tuning
y'all.
in. Welcome home. And huge shout out and thanks to DVC Resale Market, DVC Rental Store, and Monera Financial for their continued support of us. And thank you as well to our Patreons. I got some new equipment coming in this week. That'll be a little teleprompter that'll allow me to hook a device up to my camera, read into it, and create made for YouTube videos and read my little script off the teleprompter. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. And that was paid for 100% with Patreon dollars. And I can't thank them enough for that as well. So as always, hopefully you learned something in this show that'll help you go out and plan something magical, Moonlight Magic wise, for your family. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will catch you on the next live. Have a great night.
Night.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch your head and step as you exit, and take small children by the hand.
Aw, chill up, Dad. You know I'll come back. With DVC.
My DVC Points is an unofficial Disney-inspired podcast created by fans of Disney Vacation Club. The thoughts expressed in this podcast are personal opinions and personal experiences. My DVC Points is not affiliated with Disney Vacation Club, the Walt Disney Companies, or any subsidiaries. We encourage listeners to contact their DVC guide or member services for official DVC policies.